Hi everybody, it's Joan from Yoga with Joan Bossy, and this is Yoda, my little pup who sometimes joins me when he sees me roll out my mat. So today we're going to be working on some beginner yoga. Beginner yoga is something that I try to keep in my mind when I'm practicing any level of yoga because it teaches the foundations and the things that we need to keep in mind when we practice any level of yoga. So to start, we'll take a seated position on the mat that's comfortable for you, and maybe bringing your hips up a little bit higher than your knees may feel good. So you might want to sit on a cushion or a blanket as we sit and breathe for the first minute or two. And while you're there, feel your sits bones, those bones underneath where you sit, kind of pushing into the ground, bringing your chest up so that it's gently lifted. And then again, imagine your spine nice and long behind you. The crown of the head is reaching for the ceiling, allowing that chin to be level, maybe a little bit tucked in as you allow your arms to maybe drape over your knees. And while we're sitting here, you can close your eyes or you could have a soft gaze down onto the floor. And just start to notice your breathing that just happens normally throughout the whole day. Just notice the in and the out of your breath. So focusing on that as we draw our belly in towards the spine gently. Maybe rolling the shoulders back a little bit, letting them gently come down. So getting quiet. And may your practice today help you feel more energized by bringing blood to all the parts of your body and allowing your energy to be opened up in those channels that sometimes get stuck with lack of movement, lack of stretching. So we'll take a nice deep inhale here through the nose if you're not stuffed up. And a nice long exhale through the mouth. We'll do this 2 more times. Nice long exhale in. And a nice long exhale out through the mouth. And then letting your breath return back to normal. And just while you're sitting here, getting used to noticing your thoughts. Just noticing if you're thinking of many things or if the mind is calmly settling in with the breath. Without judgment, just notice. And if you find your mind wanders, just bring your attention back to the inhale that's always there for you. And then just checking in with your body, just noticing how it feels today. It's different every day. Noticing without judgment how it feels. Allowing the eyes to open if they were shut. Bringing your arms to your sides as we inhale up. Really reaching out of the waist, exhaling the hands together, pushing into the palms as we come back down. And then we can remove that blanket if we were using it while we sat. finding those sits bones on the ground again. Feeling that crown of the head nice and long, belly pulled in, chest is lifted. Taking a breath here. Beautiful. Bringing the arms out to the sides, inhaling up. Exhaling again, hands come together and down. We'll tent the fingers of the right hand over on the ground as we bring the left arm up. And just letting that arm come overhead, letting it stretch or stay up. And again, tuning in with your body today as we practice. Seeing if anything feels, maybe you need some movement here, maybe the arm moves a little, or maybe you stay still, reaching with the fingertips over. Another breath in, and then let that arm come down. We'll do both arms up again, inhale. Exhaling the hands together and down to the heart. We'll tent the fingers of the left hand over on the side as we bring the right arm up on the inhale. And if it stays here, that's fine. If it feels okay, bringing it overhead for a stretch. I know our shoulders can be a little tense sometimes. And while we're stretching, just notice where those sits bones are again. Are they grounded down? Are you keeping that sits bone of the same arm grounded that's up? Not letting it come off the floor as you lean. Inhaling and exhaling that arm down. We'll bring the left hand over to the right knee as we bring the opposite arm behind as a little prop here, maybe coming up onto our fingertips as we grow tall. Keep staying tall in the crown of the head as we inhale here. And gently twist over above the waist, looking over in that direction. And again, we don't want to compromise our posture by trying to twist too far. Just staying nice and tall and breathing here. And again, tuning into the body, noticing what it feels like when we twist. Where do we feel the stretch? A lot of times we're in our head so much, it's hard to come back into the body when we start yoga. Another inhale here. And gently coming back. We'll do the other side, placing the opposite arm on the left knee. Left hand comes behind as we grow nice and tall again. Inhale and exhale over to that side. And then holding here for 2 breaths. Honing in on where we feel the stretch in the body. From here, coming back to the side with the hands as we bring them over in front, crawling them out a little bit. Now keeping those sits bones nice and grounded as we reach out. Maybe we just lean forward just a little bit, or maybe we drop the head and the shoulders down, breathing. It's not about what the stretch looks like. It's about focusing internally as you do yoga and really either tuning into that inhale and exhale that happens all the way through, or tuning into the body and what it feels like in each different posture. Another breath here. Exhaling as we come back, walking our fingers back if they were out. Hands come to the knees, and let's take a couple torso circles here. But before we do, let's change the cross of the legs. They've been stagnant there a long time. Let's change them. And let's come into some torso circles over to the right or the left, wherever you want to start. Timing your breath as you come around. Again, feeling that grounding in those sits bones, that foundation of your body. You can drop the head and shoulders if you feel good. We'll take another complete circle, slowing down before coming back to the center. Breath here. Belly pulled in, going the other way this time. Maybe making your circles small, staying close inside the body, or coming to the sides of the body and making the circles bigger. Again, it's not about what it looks like, it's about how it feels. So tuning in to what feels good for you today. Taking one more circle. Coming back to the center. Nice breath here, grounding ourselves down again, feeling that belly pulling in, just slightly lifted. Nice long spine from the crown of the head all the way down to those sits bones. Beautiful. We'll come to our hands and knees. So, moving carefully, setting up our knees so they're hips width distance apart, finding those hip bones. That's our hip distance. Finding our wrists under our shoulders as we spread those hands nice and wide to support those wrists. You can turn the toes under if you want, or keep your backs of your feet down, whatever feels better. As we drop the belly and pull the chin up, we're going to inhale here to cow. And then we're gently going to exhale to cat, rounding that spine as the belly pulls in and the chin pulls towards the chest. We'll take another round, inhaling back to cow. Feeling ourselves, grounding ourselves with those hands and feet. Inhaling to cow and exhaling to cat. Now I want you to take two more on your own, and this time I want you to maybe take a little longer in one position. Maybe staying there for a couple breaths if that feels good. Noticing where you feel the stretch in cow. Maybe spending more time in cat. Noticing how that feels, grounding those hands down onto the mat. And taking one more round of breath, inhaling and exhaling wherever you are. And returning back to table, fingers spread nice and wide. So we're going to get ready for downward dog. So in downward dog, sometimes it's good to move the hands up a little bit, to widen our stance, getting ready, turning those toes under. We're going to gently, and remember, we're going to keep pushing into all the fingers and the thumb, maybe a little more with the first finger and thumb, as we begin to turn the toes under, pushing those hips up gently. Ears begin to align with the arms as we push those hips back. Breathing here, holding here, and then maybe bending one knee, stretching out the calf muscles. And continuing in downward dog to bicycle the legs, bend the knees if that feels good. Finding what works for you. Letting the head be loose. And on the next breath, bending the knees, inhale. And exhaling, walking to the front of the mat into forward fold. Now in forward fold, you can absolutely let the arms just dangle down if that feels good, or you could hold the elbows, bending the knees. If they're very bent, they can stay bent. You can actually rest the chest right on those knees. And again, pushing into both feet. If your knees are beginning to straighten a little, maybe your chest just hangs down, your head and your shoulders, letting everything go with gravity. Another breath here. Maybe there's some movement from side to side or forward and backward. And then letting the elbows go if you had them. Bending the knees, pushing into that ground as we bring the arms to the side and rise. Straightening the legs a little bit, reaching up. Hands come together into the heart. So we're in this pose. We're taking our arms out to the side. This is called mountain pose, where we feel our legs, our kneecaps pulling up. Our thighs are activated. Our arms can come out to the side. And again, we're finding that foundation that we found when we were sitting before. Our crown of the head is gently reaching up. So our spine is long, long line of energy. Our chest is gently lifted, shoulders relaxed, maybe roll them back up and down so that our posture is good. What do we do with our belly? We allow it to pull in as best we can. Breathing here. And again, this foundation, this Tadasana reminds us in every pose, we try to do these things. We try to activate our core by pulling that belly in. We keep the spine long. Breathing here. So if this is uncomfortable to let the arms just dangle down, you can always have your hands in prayer. Gently pushing the hands together. So let's take our last inhale here. Bringing the arms, we'll bring them up high, reaching out of the waist. Nice stretch here, inhale. And then we'll fold forward, hinging at those hips. So we come into forward fold again, letting the arms come down, letting the head drop. We'll take 3 breaths here. And remember, forward fold doesn't have to have straight legs. The knees can absolutely be bent. The knees, maybe they're not warmed up. Maybe this is where we are when we're warmed up. It doesn't matter. It's not about perfection. It's about finding what feels good. So taking one more breath here. Dropping those hands. We'll frame the feet with the hands. We're going to send one leg back. We'll send our right leg back. We'll take a big step back, coming to the ball of the back foot, letting that right knee come down. The top of the back of the right foot comes to the floor, and we feel our grounding here. We're not on our 2 feet like we were in mountain pose, but we're on our front foot. Our knee, we try to keep over our ankle when we bend our knee. And our back foot, the top of the foot, maybe feel that stability of it, pushing down as well as the front foot. Hands can come to that thigh. And again, finding that pose, that foundation that we did even at the beginning when we were sitting. Belly pulls in, chest is lifted, nice long spine. So what's going on in the body? So checking in with the sensations you're feeling. You may feel your right hip as it gently leans forward in this position. You might feel it tight here. You might feel almost a little discomfort. Maybe you feel a little ache in your opposite thigh, depending on how much walking you've done. But in yoga, wherever we are, we find that foundation. So distributing our weight evenly between the front and the back foot. We can keep our hand on our thigh here. Our eye gaze is soft, our face is soft, our legs are activated. Or we can allow those arms to float up, maybe nice and straight, reaching out of the waist. Maybe that feels good to do that. Or maybe widening. Whenever you widen those shoulders, it takes a little pressure off them. Maybe that feels better. Or again, maybe you're here. So we'll take another breath. And if our arms were raised, we'll inhale And we'll exhale them down. And we'll send, turning the back foot under, we're going to send that front foot back into plank. Now, we're in plank. So what do we want to do? We want to keep that energy in that spine. So we want to lift those hips up. So we have a long line of energy from the crown of our head down our spine. Now, if this is too much, our knees are down. We can absolutely have our knees down or one knee down, depending on what you need. So wherever you are, you take your inhale. Remember to push into all the fingers. And then exhale. We're going to slowly exhale down. We'll keep our shoulders close to our body, coming down all the way to our belly. Bringing our hands to our side ribs. We'll gently peel the chest from the floor, inhaling. Eye gaze stays forward and steady on the ground, a little bit forward. Feeling the tops of the backs of the feet on the mat. Inhaling and exhale down. We'll try this 2 more times, just coming into a small cobra here, baby cobra. Keeping those elbows close to our body, inhaling. Really feeling the back muscles start to activate here. And exhaling down. Inhaling. Cobra. And exhale down. And we're going to, from here, we'll lift our head and our chest to cobra, pushing into, I can't see you, pushing in with both hands as we push, coming to our knees and just pushing back into child's pose. So the hips are pulling back. Maybe they pull back all the way. Maybe they're up a little bit. That's okay. Finding what feels good, pushing back, and maybe our knees are close together. Or maybe we need a bigger stretch. Maybe we want to stretch more and we widen those knees. Our hands reaching forward for extended child's pose. So head can slowly begin to relax down. Maybe it reaches the floor, maybe it doesn't. That's okay. Whatever position we're in child's pose, or take 2 more breaths. This is a nice grounding pose where you can rest anytime during your practice in yoga to reset. So from here, we're going, if our knees are wide, we're going to bring them together. We're going to sit those hips back. I'm just going to show you another pose to take a little pressure off your shoulders. If child's pose is too much, you can take your hands alongside your body for embryo, letting the head drop down. This is another resting pose that might feel good for the shoulders. Beautiful. Coming back up, we can find table again. Setting our knees, hips width distance apart, our wrists are under our shoulders. We're pushing into all the fingers and thumb. As we turn the toes up, maybe move our hands up a little. As we come into downward dog for our second time, heels reaching back, breathing here. We'll bend those knees on the next inhale, walking those feet towards the hands to the front of the mat. We come into our forward fold. We'll bring our hands up to our shins for a flat back, or maybe to our thighs, if that's where our flat back is. Find it, as long as it's not on our knees. Inhale, exhale down. And then we'll begin to bend the knees and rise, inhaling up, exhaling, hands come together and down. Beautiful. So we're in mountain pose at the front of our mat. Arms can come to our sides as we close our eyes and breathe here. Maybe lifting the toes, feeling that foundation, feeling all four corners of the feet on the floor, feeling the kneecaps rise, legs are activated, belly pulled in, chest lifted, shoulders roll back and down. Again, finding that long spine. Last inhale and exhale out. So what we're going to do is we'll do our other leg. We'll inhale back up and exhale down, coming into that forward fold, hinging at those hips. Inhaling to that halfway lift, wherever that is for you. Exhaling down, hands frame the feet as we send the left foot back. Big step back on the ball of the foot as the left knee comes down. Hands can come to that thigh as we check in, knee over the ankle in the front, feeling the back leg. Or gently leaning forward in low lunge. Stretching out that hip, so closing your eyes maybe, or soft gaze forward and down. Tuning in to the sensations you feel on this side. And from here, we stay in this position, or we bring those arms up, stretching up out of the waist. Nice inhale. There could be a look up. And then an exhale as we bring those hands down, framing that foot. Just coming to the back toe, turning it under, coming to the back foot as we bring the right leg back into plank again. Finding that hips raise, stay up so we can find that flat back. Maybe one knee is down or both knees. As we take an inhale and we exhale ourselves all the way down to the mat. Our hands come to those side ribs. Inhaling to cobra. Exhaling down. And then pushing into the hands, coming into cobra for a second time. Inhale. And then gently sending our weight to our knees and then our hips as they pull back either into child's pose or turning our toes under into downward dog. So either one can become a rest pose for you, downward dog or child's pose. Another breath here. Beautiful. From here, coming back to our hands and knees. Taking a breath here. We'll bring ourselves back to the center of the mat. Crossing our legs. Finding those sits bones grounded onto the floor, rolling our shoulders back and down. Long spine, belly pulled in. Arms can be draped on the knees. As we close our eyes, take a breath here. We'll allow the right ear to come towards the left shoulder. Dropping that head, relaxing. Maybe crawling the right hand out a little bit. Maybe, or that opposite hand comes into the air a little bit. Beautiful. And then sending that head back towards the center, dropping that chin towards the chest for a little stretch, the back of the neck. Maybe there's a look up if that feels good. And then back to the center, letting the opposite ear come to the opposite shoulder. Nice stretch here. Maybe we want to take it more to the shoulder, so we crawl the opposite arm out, the fingertips out. Maybe the hand comes into the air a little. Another breath here. Letting that chin come back down towards the center of the body, maybe dropping the chin again. Breath here. Maybe there's a look up. And letting the head come back. Taking the hands together, interlacing the fingers, sending the arms out in front. Inhale. And exhaling them up if that feels good. Reaching up. And exhaling the arms down. We'll do this again, interlacing the fingers together, sending the palms out in front. Inhale. Exhale up. Nice shoulder stretch here. There could be a look up. Inhale. Exhale off to the side. Hands can come back to the knees. Sending our left hand across that body, hooking the other forearm onto that long arm as we draw it towards us, dropping that shoulder and that arm down. Breathing here. Really feeling that stretch as you draw that arm towards you, but at the same time dropping it. Nice stretch, maybe in the shoulder or the back. Releasing that, bringing the arms out to the side, reaching out. Good. And we'll bring the opposite arm across. Opposite arm hooks onto it, drawing it close to the body. Holding here, again, maintaining that foundation with those sits bones, sitting up tall. Breathing here as you draw that shoulder and that arm in. Reach with the fingertips of the straight arm. Letting that go. Beautiful. Inhaling up. And exhaling the hands down to the heart. We'll come into our Shavasana, which is always part of our practice, where we come down onto our backs, maybe holding the backs of the legs as we come down, sending the knees into the chest. Maybe there's a rock from side to side. We'll take one last hip stretch before we get into Shavasana. We did that low lunge, which stretched us out. Let's send the right ankle across the left thigh, drawing the left foot in as best as possible, flexing both feet. Now again, in beginner yoga, do you look like everyone else? Is that important? No, we don't need to worry about that. Maybe this is enough, crossing this ankle over this leg. Maybe just gently allowing a little bit of pressure here on the thigh as we open up that hip. Or maybe we needed more, so we bring that leg in, and maybe it's right here. This is what it looks like. Maybe that leg comes in even closer. Maybe you needed more, so you're holding on to the shin. It's very important that when you're in a yoga class, you focus on the feelings, the sensations in your own body. When we look outward, it takes away from our experience and our practice, what's good for our body. Another breath here. So staying internal is a great tip. Letting that leg come down, we'll draw the left ankle across the opposite knee. This is a figure 4 stretch, flexing that leg, that foot. And maybe this is enough right here. Or maybe you've drawn this side in as well as the other side. You may find one side feels a little different than the other. Take a breath here. And then allowing that foot to come back down, taking that leg off that thigh. We'll send one leg out and then the other. One hand on the lower belly, one hand on the heart. As we come back to our intention at the beginning. May this beginner yoga practice open up our energy channels in our body so that we feel energized. We feel good. Ending our practice with some gratefulness, thinking of 3 things we're grateful for today as we breathe here. Letting the arms come alongside the body. Palms can be out for some receiving or maybe down for more grounding. You'll take as many breaths as you like here in Shavasana. But I'd like you to at least take 5 breaths here. Feeling the body grow heavy, supported by the earth. Back of the neck is long as the skull relaxes to the mat. Shoulder blades pressing into the mat. Legs are long. Feeling the pelvis on the ground. Hands and feet grow lighter. As you let go, giving yourself permission to be here and breathe on the mat. And you're welcome to stay here for another minute, another 2 minutes, whatever you need to let go. So feel free to pause the video and just release here. This is the most important position or asana of yoga, the Shavasana at the end, where we let go and breathe. But if you're short on time, you can gently bring one knee in towards the chest and then the other. Maybe giving yourself a little squeeze. Maybe a little rock on the side to side or from forward to backward before rolling over to one side and pausing there with gratitude for the energy it took to practice yoga today. And allow yourself to take a deep breath here. Pushing yourself up slowly, coming back to your seated position where you began. Letting the arms inhale up, exhaling the hands to the heart. Thank you all for practicing with me today. Namaste.